I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing grace today. I'm choosing grace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing grace today. Please take a moment to say hello to your neighbor. You're free to move around, share some joy. I choose compassion today. I choose compassion today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I choose compassion today. I'm choosing joy today. Yes, sir. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I choose compassion today. One more time, I'm walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today.
Awesome, thank you. Right now, normally the facilitator would be doing our land acknowledgement, but because we are moving into a special time of truth and reconciliation, Glenn is going to come up and share some things in remembrance that this is not just one time of the year that we think these things and feel this way, but it is a continual humility and acceptance of truth and reconciliation.
Thank you. Whew. Okay, so I've lived in this country for a long time, since 1980, and originally I'm from Ireland. And I think of myself as an indigenous Irish person who is not now living on the land I was born on. And I've been thinking about that off and on for years and years. And the indigenous communities throughout this country and throughout the nation, the continent, it's just an ever-changing blessing to think about people who are so tied to the land and to their space around them that is as much spirit as it is matter. And this got me thinking about just, I'm new to this country, and I'm new, even after so many years, to this particular land that I'm speaking on. And so before I read our land acknowledgement from our community to the nations that are around us, that cradle us, I just wanted to read something and to have each of us bear in mind as I'm reading this few paragraphs from this book by John Ralston Saul, The Comeback, it's called, from about 11 years ago. Just to anchor yourself in the space that you're sitting in and the air that's around you, and remember that the first breath you had on this earth is air, is love, is support from everything around you, every being, every piece of consciousness. So we're all a part of this land, of this earth, but we are spirit, and there's the conundrum. And this thing came up in this book I'm about to read from that ties with this community. The word authenticity came up. I'll read 3 short paragraphs here. So John Ralston is saying, there's a great deal of talk today about the importance of authenticity in what people and societies do. More and more of us sense that we must rethink our narrative, re-examine our myths. What is happening around our Aboriginal people today in Canada is all about authenticity. Theirs, ours, theirs and ours shared in some way. All of us, from Indigenous peoples to the original Francophones and Anglophones, and through the successive waves of immigration to the most recently sworn in citizens, must examine our actions. And so if we start down a road of shared reconciliation and restitution, we will have taken a crucial step in building a sense of ourselves and the country. It is a matter of being true to where we are in what is fair and possible here. That consciousness, that sense of ourselves, will solidify our ability to live together and to do so in an atmosphere of justice. And so we're all called to do this. We're all called to be truly, authentically who we are and be in community and know that we can change so much with the thought that we have that's coming next and what we do with it. So, let us come together in gratitude and humility as we gather together on the unceded ancestral territories of the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations, whose enduring stewardship of the land, sky, sea, sustains all life that flows through here. We honor their profound reverence for the energies of these sacred spaces. And what a blessing, a gift, and a privilege it is to be able to live, breathe, work, and play, and to co-create in the shared spirit of harmony, respect, and love upon these lands that are sacred. May our community, this community, each of us and all together, uphold this legacy of care and interconnectedness that the Lekwungen peoples have and continue to embody in all that we learn and manifest here. So, if you just take a breath, close your eyes. And remember who we are, where we are, and we are all one. Hi, Ichka. Thank you.
And now, the musicians back to some inspirational and contemplative music that you are welcome to sit, close your eyes, and think about. Do we have words to this one?
Yeah, you
Awesome.
can also...
we do have words, so...
It's a choose your own adventure. You can sit and bask in the beauty of this song by Michael Cott and Karen Drucker. It's called This Is Only Love. But if you're feeling so inspired to share your voice, please do. 1, 2, 3. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only
There is only love. Just let yourself be aware of this truth and this gorgeous music resonating in your heart, in your nervous system. I feel my nervous system. I feel my energy field just really expanding. I feel my heart chakra open wide. We welcome this love, this universal truth that there is only love. And also personal truth for each of us. To to open into more deeply. Take a couple of deep breaths. And allow yourself to embody this unconditional love into your whole self, your whole being, and into our entire life. Each of us is infinitely loved. Each of us is infinitely loving, flowing in and with infinite love. Each of us is made of infinite love. It's who we truly are. Our embodied journey here on earth is about remembering this truth and deeply accepting it. Imagine if every person on earth accepted this truth in our minds, in our hearts. Can you envision how consciously accepting this truth could manifest in each life and in humanity as a whole? This is the direct route to peace on earth. May it be so, and so it is.
Well, today is the last Celebrate Sunday of the month, and it is also the last day of the theme of acceptance, which I don't know about you, but this month has been quite impactful on my daily life. And our wonderful Lesia, who I know I am not the only one, absolutely appreciates the energy and the work that she does to come up with these monthly themes and these affirmations that we can take with us every day. So if you'd like to speak the affirmation with me for the last time this month, but hopefully not the last time you actually say it. At the doorway of peace lies the threshold of acceptance. Now, is there anybody here who would like to share how this particular affirmation or how this month has impacted you in any way? Anybody? Ooh, Mary.
My thought goes back to our first talk this month when Megan Edge was here. I think it was the first one. And she gave us a 3-step process to embody this affirmation. The first is acknowledge, the second is acceptance, and the third is release. And I really found that acknowledging helped. Of course, that's the part where we acknowledge how we feel. We can acknowledge that I don't like this situation. I don't like how it's happening. And that's perfectly okay. So I really found that once I was able to acknowledge how I was truly feeling, it was much easier to accept what was happening and then, hopefully, to release it. For now, and of course it might come back, but I found if I kept going over those 3 steps, it really helped.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Winnie.
Thank you, Kay, and thank you, Mary, for sharing that because you've just impacted me big time. I just go, I'm always in the present. And this morning when I arrived, I'm looking around for her. Sandy was there, and Sandy can remember this. I had a tearful time. It just hit me when I was chatting with her briefly and had to walk outside, but I did not acknowledge. I'm thinking I kind of did acknowledge it. I didn't acknowledge it, and then I walked out not knowing where or how I was going to get out of that, but I accepted it. And what happened was I saw the garden outside our place. We have a garden that was planted by Denise, and it's amazing. And I drank it in, and I drank in all those different plants that have been put in there. And suddenly I was letting go of the feelings I was having. There's been a lot going on in my life, and I released. I walked back in, and I was treated with a best friend showing up. I'm so thrilled that Trisha's here. So I had no idea this was happening. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool, this acceptance of where we are right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie. Well, I know personally, Glenn actually kind of hit on it a little bit with his reading. I do a special meditation when we're here where I breathe in the word, and then as I exhale, instead of doing, we were taught to do like the negative to get it all out, it's breathing out what you want to put into the universe. So I was breathing in the word acceptance, and the first word that came to me, because I don't always know what I'm going to be breathing out at the time, was authenticity. And when we can accept who we are, and I do a lot of shadow work where we're learning about the shadow and the golden shadow, the lower subconscious and the higher subconscious. When we figure out those pieces of us that maybe we don't want to acknowledge, that scare us or scare other people, but when we learn to accept who we are and we can be who we really are, that's when we can see the power of healing, and we can see the power of expression and love. So I have loved this this month, and I've had a lot of stretching moments in acceptance, not only of myself, but of other people. Okay, so now we can move on to our feature tune with Kelby and Zach.
Thank you so much. So this is our last piece on acceptance, and in going through, we realized that, quite frankly, no one does acceptance like Hank Williams does acceptance. If you're familiar with Hank Williams, he is a composer who somehow, it's interesting because people love Hank Williams from all musical walks of life, I've found. There's something in his performance that is so disarmingly authentic, and something about country music's willingness to spend quality time in the blues, in acceptance, in feeling what you're feeling so that you can move on. It's like that great quote from The Simpsons, if you know it, when the saxophone player on The Simpsons, I think his name was Bleeding Gums Murphy. Yeah, he said, playing the blues isn't about making yourself feel better. It's about making other people feel worse. And that was a joke, because really the blues is about experiencing something deep and releasing it. And when you as the artist release that, you invite other people to release that. So we picked this song, which is called I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. Because even if we're not feeling lonesome, at some point we have, and maybe there's a little bit of truth in this song that can help us accept and move on. We hope you enjoy. And you're always welcome to sing along. Hear that lonesome whippoorwill. It sounds too blue to fly. The midnight train is winding low. I'm so lonesome I could cry. I never saw a night so long when time keeps crawling by. The moon just went behind the clouds to hide his face and cry. Did you ever hear a robin weep when leaves begin to die? Like me, he's lost the will to live. I'm so lonesome I could cry. The silence of a falling star lights up a purple sky. And while I'm wondering where you are, I'm so lonesome I could cry. And while I'm wondering where you are, I'm so lonesome I could cry.
That was great. And I will have to say, in my 3 decades of church, I've never heard a Simpson quote and Hank Williams in the same. Never. Congratulations. That was awesome. Awesome. I actually have the original LP of that. Yeah. I had a grandpa. Little backstory on me. I grew up in Southern gospel music and country music, so that's my my original story. Okay, so today we have our speaker, who I just got the pleasure of meeting this morning, because of course I'm meeting everybody. Leslie Sandra Black, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm actually reading from a piece of paper now. Leslie has been a transformational coach and energy healer for 30 years, transmitting embodied, heart-centered energy to facilitate people in finding their freedom and their own giftedness. She was initiated as a healer through a powerful experience of divine light. She has been delighted to teach hundreds of multi-day workshops to train and mentor other energy healers. Leslie also creates and facilitates workshops on energetic self-care, self-healing, and embodiment. Everybody like to welcome Leslie to the stage.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I did push him. Yeah, it's a very pale. It's a very pale blue light. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to use notes because if I talk without notes, I'll probably go for half an hour. So I have notes to keep me focused on precision. So, excuse my, yeah. So yes, this is the final presentation of all these beautiful reflections on this wonderful theme that Lesia gave us and for this community. So there's been many, many, many different angles and contributions. I think of myself as a storyteller, so I'm going to be sharing some personal stories as the way of addressing the theme. Most mornings, my spouse Henry and I start our day with an embodied practice and seated meditation on our open front porch, because we like to receive the nourishment of the early daylight for our eyes and our skin. So we live on a fairly quiet street, and we delight in the accompaniment of bird song as we do our practice. And we love this outdoor place and time of beginning each day. However, in September, we've had a huge challenge to our peaceful practice. There's been a cacophony of loud sounds as an old house just 3 doors down from us is being demolished. So imagine the sound of glass, wood, metal being dumped into these massive metal containers, like really close to us. And then all these noisy machines and earth diggers and workers calling out to each other. It's very erratic and ongoing. And then these huge trucks come right past our sacred space where we're meditating, carrying pieces of the house right past our front lawn where we are. So there's been tons of practice of letting go, a lot of work. And furthermore, we have learned that the next stage is going to be the construction of a sixplex on our corner. So we anticipate this noise and cacophony of noise will continue. In the past, this would have frustrated me to the nth degree. I would have been silently swearing at the workers and tensing up my body, resisting the interference in my meditation time. I would have hit despair, feeling that I was being sabotaged. And I know my body would have tensed up in resistance. What's interesting to me is now observing my response. I find myself giggling at the situation, this juxtaposition. The irony of it is hilarious to me. So I still hear the birds singing right near us. They hear the chaos and they sing on, continuing to delight in the beauty of the flowers, the trees, the warmth of the sun, the movement of the clouds, the texture of the air, the sensations of moisture or dryness. They continue to rejoice in this beautiful earth. So I've decided I'm going to join in their modeling and accept this with the wisdom of the birds. Instead of resisting all the noise and disruption and getting stressed out, we can consciously choose, the birds and us, to accept what is happening. We can't change the fact that this elderly man who lived in that house has passed, and his children sold the house And they sold it to developers who want to provide 6 units of housing for several people in this city of need for housing, replacing one man who was living there with his dog. So we need to accept that. I've noticed that in accepting this outside cacophony, that it may continue for some time, that I'm able to focus on my inner deep peace regardless. In seeing that this is true for me, I now celebrate how far I have come on my spiritual journey, and it has been a journey into peace. I even feel a wee bit of gratitude for this going on, showing me this, giving me the inner reflection of where I have gone. But I have to say, ask me in 2 or 3 months how I'm doing with it. So there have certainly been many times in my life where events or interactions would have led me to tense up my body and my mind, and my emotions would be reactive. Many times. Stress has built up in me and accumulated in my body. I have blamed events outside of me for ruining my day and ruining my plans. And I've even felt like a victim with much resistance. A huge point of the case in point of this, where I went deeply into reactive stress, was in September 2018. So 7 years almost to the day here. Over a period of 6 years, I journeyed deeply into learning that peace comes only through crossing that threshold of acceptance. It began when one of my brothers met with me on that same front porch with some big news to tell me. He had learned accidentally that our mother had written a new last will. She had intended to keep this new will secret from the entire family, except for our youngest brother. Because her new will, in contrast to the earlier will of equal distribution amongst her descendants, this early will gives 97% of her estate, which is her condo, to this one youngest brother. We were shocked by this and deeply hurt. There was absolutely no conversation about this. No discussion. When I asked my mom to explain to me what she had done and what that was about, her answer was, I want to stay living in my condo and not go into an old folks' home. Doug, the youngest brother, will live with me. Then she hung up the phone. That was the only conversation we ever had about this. So this experience plummeted me into my core wound of being raised by non-available, narcissistic parents. I had learned as a child and all my life to cope primarily by leaning into my palpable experience of the presence of divine love. The divine love that was beyond the wounds of my parents and beyond my family of origin. This overt blow of once again being disowned, as my mother frequently called her actions towards me, now included our son and our daughter. So as I accepted the long repressed emotional path of my wounded child, I sobbed. It came right up in my face. Here it is again. Once more, the big finality of being abandoned, being emotionally not present to. As I sobbed, I entered into it deeply. I actually went into fetal position on the floor for hours, feeling, breathing, and allowing all those feelings to rise up and come through me from all the years of this life. I didn't pretend that the unjust, unkind, narcissistic behavior didn't happen. It happened. I dove in deeply and felt all the way through, staying with it, until the old trauma and this new trauma were seen and heard by my present big self. I chose to deeply love myself out of this lifelong sense of not being seen or loved by my mom. I accepted my feelings, and I allowed the charge of the resistance to dissolve. I allowed myself to let go and release. And I chose to accept that I am loved. I am made of infinite love, even though my mother rarely showed such love. I couldn't talk with my mom for more than a year. She refused. Shortly after this, Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It was no longer possible to have a conversation about her will. She had no capacity. Then there were a series of events of her deteriorating. She had falls, 2 falls, fractured hip, depression, moved into a wheelchair, was wheelchair bound, rehab. The Alzheimer's worsened. My brother then moved her into the old folks' home that she had dreaded. She faded away week by week in her wheelchair, soon not able to feed herself solids. And eventually she didn't know me or my family. I shed many tears on my path to accept that this was happening to my own mother. Another layer of grief. And she just deteriorated more and more physically until her brain could no longer support her breathing. So in this past March, she passed away, unable to breathe. By the time she had died, I had accepted that she had made choices that I didn't like. And I had accepted the pain of witnessing this woman who was my mother disappearing over time, over months, over years. I recall the words of Master Teacher Ram Dass. He said, "The resistance to the unpleasant situation is the root of suffering." So I consciously made the choice to release my resistance. And the painful charge that the resistance caused, and I noticed that the stress levels in my body gradually lessened. It was gradual. Acceptance of the tough stuff feels like long, slow labor. We wrestle. We negotiate. We claw our way towards surrender, inch by inch. It's work. I unwaveringly chose this path of releasing resistance and growing my level of acceptance because I knew it was my path. I knew it was vital to my spirit. One major breakthrough moment for me was in a moment of deep meditation where I asked to see her soul. And what I was shown was that she had impeccably served me on the journey that my soul required, in the exact way that it required. I learned that through her non-availability, or not being the source of love for me, that I learned to not ever look to other people to be my source. That's a massive gift. I knew that in every cell of my body. Even in childhood, I realized, looking back, I had learned to lean on the source of infinite love. What an amazing gift. So I was then at peace with her passing. Our soul contract was complete. And now I was fully able to support her confused and lost spirit. I was happy to lovingly respond to her spirit calling me to help her soul move into the afterlife. And I was able to do that with such deep peace. Deep, deep peace. And yet, there was still the matter of the will. I explored legal routes to challenge the will on behalf of my family. I didn't pretend that Mom had made good choices. I faced and navigated many minefields and emotions and opinions of my family around all of this. Even though we had a very good legal chance of reverting to the earlier will, I knew that going into a legal challenge would be exhausting and time-consuming. I did not want to live my life out of resistance. I had learned that resisting external situations had created such stress in my body and in my human self. And I knew the truth that what we resist persists. I came to a clear conclusion that peace was more important to me than winning. I came around to realize that peace was more important than my children receiving the inheritance money that they could have really used. And I made the conscious choice for the energy of acceptance and to release the energy of resistance. I came around to fully accepting the new will that my mom had written. It was a big journey. It was 6 years. It wasn't quick. It was long, slow labor. But we have great power and freedom to choose how to respond to what happens around us. My dear friend, Dr. Nancy Reeves, is a clinical psychologist, and she specializes in loss and grief. And her model of grieving that she's well known for is that as we gradually accept the loss, whatever loss it is, we start to have more life energy again and stop being just in survival mode, which we are at the beginning. And then her model shares that as we come into complete acceptance, we suddenly have all kinds of energy and vitality and life force returning to us. Life force energy. And I would call that peace. Waiting for acceptance or forgiveness to arrive will not get us to peace. When we place our attention on choosing to accept what is happening, we go on a journey of deep healing. As we allow this energy of acceptance to lead us, gradually the energy of peace flows more and more into our lives. It truly is a journey. My long journey of choosing to accept my mom's behavior and actions, and then accepting her mental decline, then accepting her death, and then finally accepting her last will, actually built the muscle of acceptance in me. It led me right to this moment where I'm able to see that and accept and giggle at the cacophony of demolition happening right in my sacred meditation space. But without that muscle building, I would have been in a different place. This is not resignation, and it's not apathy. Acceptance is as a lived reality, is a full-bodied choice to respond to what is. When our life force energy is no longer expended in repressing and resisting, it's freed up and we can access the abundant life force with which to live, to create, and to love. I mentioned at the start of our meditation, but I'll repeat it again, that Dr. David Watkins, who has studied different states of consciousness in people, he says that when one person holds the vibration of unconditional and love and peace, which he says is 500 hertz, when one person holds that, it counterbalances the despair and the fear of 750,000 people. It's that powerful. Talk about ripples, hey? I call that a holy wow when I hear things like that. By choosing acceptance and holding that frequency of peace, we're influencing human consciousness in a quantum way. When we hold this frequency in ourselves, as we're hearing about the trauma and wars and tragedies in the world, we are actually making a momentous contribution to humanity and to the earth. It's that powerful. So how wonderful it is to be able to choose acceptance and to choose to refuse resistance. Then we actually do become aware of the peace that is in us, and let it fill our awareness with its beautiful light today and every day, radiating around us and into the world beyond us. And so it is.
That was a vulnerable talk. Thank you for sharing that. And now we are going to move into a time of conscious connection. This is your time that you can move your chairs together, 3 to 4 people if you would like to, if you feel comfortable enough, and share with each other what you got out of it. Right now is our time to talk about our giving. And I love something about this church and how they impress upon us that giving is not always about finances. It's about our energy, our time, our love. Not that finances are not appreciated, because they are. And there's always that circle of giving and receiving and sowing and reaping. That this is your opportunity to bless and be blessed. So we'll do our generosity affirmation if you'd like to read this with me. In gratitude I give, in gratitude I receive, by embracing generosity with enthusiasm and delight. I celebrate the infinite possibilities of living life lovingly. And so it is. Now we do have several ways that you can give. They are all up on the screen. You can e-transfer. You can even use a credit card in the back, cash and check. And you can choose to give online, remembering that it is Victoria Truth Center with re.org instead of er. A part of our giving to you, when you will start to pass around our affirmations. And this is the gift that keeps on giving. If you are like me, you will stick them in a pocket. You will stick them in your car. You will stick them in a book. And then 2 weeks later, you will find that affirmation, read it to yourself, and remind yourself that you are loved. While that is going around, we're going to have Leslie come up and do our blessing.
I know. I just have to giggle that the card that I just got from the box is acceptance anchors me in the truth of eternal oneness. So much gratitude for synchronicity and serendipity and flow of connection, flow of when we open to who we truly are, to the love that is, how this beautiful flow and this circle of life blesses us and guides us. So as we go back out into the world and into this new week, I invite us all to accept our role as conscious creators. We create with our choices. As we release resistance and keep consciously choosing to accept whatever we are experiencing, we open the space for infinite possibilities, the truth of eternal oneness, and for the peace that is beyond our understanding. And so it is.
Okay, well, the musicians are going to be sending us out. Yeah. Before I do that, I'm going to have you end it for us, so I won't come back up here, but I do want to say one thing, really quickly, if I can. There is something that I do with my children. I have 4 of them. And we do an affirmation sort of thing where I ask them every day, I say, are you loved? And they answer with yes. Are you great? And they answer with yes. And I say, are you safe? And they answer with yes. And I say, are you going to be the best human that you can be? And they say, yes. I'm like, how are you going to do it? And they say, it's easy. I'm going to be me. And then I go on to remind them that, yes, it is who you are because you are a safe person for other people. You are a great person. And you are absolutely, positively lovable. And I extend that to all of you.
Thank you. Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you. All right, well, we're here for our last time getting to do this great tune. If you'd like to stand up, we would invite you to do so. And get your dancing shoes on and your clapping hands ready. This is All Is Well by Eddie Watkins Jr. A 1, a 2. Tomorrow, today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past. All things are made brand new, and don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should, and change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy and happiness is yours and it's mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should. All is well, all is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now, right now. All is well, all is well, all is well, and unfolding as it should. We invite you to meet your neighbor or share a blessing with your neighbor. flow in the spirit. I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well? Let me hear you say all is well. I tell you now, all is well and unfolding as it should. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week.